Building a brand in the midterm rental insurance space is easy, but it is only easy if you do these three critical things. And if you don't, you will ultimately lead to failure and not building a brand. And not building a brand in the midterm rental insurance space will cost you a lot of money. Now, here's why. So the midterm rental insurance space is all about connecting with corporations who are in need of furnished or unfurnished accommodation sometimes in order to relocate displaced policyholders, that is their clients. And now one thing you need to be very, very clear on is when working with a relocation specialist or temporary relocation company is understanding and being very clear on what it is that they need. Now, if you're not clear on what it is that they need, then you're not going to be clear on how to speak to them. And if you're not clear on how to speak to them, then you're not going to be searchable. And if you're not searchable, then guess what? You're not going to be in a position to get bookings. So number one, let's talk about building digital footprints. So typically what we know, and if you even know of this very, very carved niche, especially if you're an Airbnb operator, you have furnished accommodation, you're like, I want to get into midterm rentals. First of all, midterm rental insurance, that niche of its own is carved out of its own niche and is an opportunity in itself that most people don't know about. So the number one thing that people do is when they're aware of this situation is they may list their properties on these temporary relocation websites, databases. But that is far from what building a brand actually means, because in this space, if you're able to be connected to companies who are relocating clients constantly in furnished accommodations, aka Airbnbs or aka just homes that are fully furnished that are open to working with these relocation companies, it then opens up the door for you as an operator to be 100% occupied for a longer period of time than usual and also be profitable, more sometimes profitable, sometimes even triple your income that you would traditionally make in the long-term rental space, and sometimes even double what you would make in the short-term rental space. So this is why it's privy to us, and it is in our best interest to understand the importance of building a brand. So building a brand goes beyond just putting your property in these databases. As a matter of fact, that is only scratching the surface. And if you only do that, you might get some results and you might get some bookings. You might get people to reach out to you, but you will not be building a brand because you're just one-off solution and nobody wants to be a one-night stand. Call it that. I'm so sorry, but it might just be that, or maybe 30 night stands, but that's not what we want. We want more repeat business. We want you to be able to continue to receive increase after increase, and you do that by building a brand. So let's talk about the number one thing out of three. If you're currently getting value from watching this video, you'll want to make sure you take a second and click below to grab the midterm rental insurance blueprint to help accelerate your process in being able to land these midterm rental insurance contracts with respect to your marketplace. Make sure you click the button below and grab it and continue on with the gems in this video. The number one thing you should be doing. So number one is you need to be findable and searchable. So a lot of us don't, beyond putting your information in a database, just sit around and wait for the inquiry. But if you're trying to build a brand for the long term, it is important in your best interest to continue to get these inquiries in your sleep. One way to do this is to actually optimize for your listings to speak to the people who are looking for you. There's two types of people who are looking for you. Number one, there's the relocation specialist that works directly from the temporary relocation company, that works directly with the insurance policy holder and or their insurance company to relocate that family. So therefore, when it comes to the marketing, you want to make sure that you're speaking to them. And then sometimes there's the family itself that's actually looking for the property themselves, and then will get reimbursed by the insurance company. So how can you speak to these two avatars and reassure that they'll be aware that you're able to do business with them? Marketing 101 is all about letting your customer know what you can do for them. Marketing 102 is all about speaking to the pain points that your customer is in need of. So who are we targeting? Is it both the relocation specialist and the family member? Well, I believe that the pain points are one and the same. They're looking for temporary housing. They're looking for flexible stays. They're asking if their pets can come with them. They're asking if they would have the opportunity for you to work directly with the insurance company in case that they're not going to be the ones making the payment for it. Or sometimes they do make the payment and then get reimbursed. So they want to know all these questions. So while you might still be marketing and branding yourself for short-term rentals and vacation rentals, it's actually in your best interest to start speaking their language. And their language is not midterm rental. Do not confuse the operational language with the language that your avatar uses. That is the number one mistake people make in branding, right? You talk about your vision of what you want to deliver for them when really you should be talking about the pain points that they're talking about. What are they looking for? Is it temporary housing? It might be. Is temporary housing the same as a midterm rental stay? It's not the same. We read these books, 30-day stay, etc., because we're in the business of making sure that our properties are occupied. They're in the business of making sure that they can actually find a property that's there and available to them. So it's important and it's critical that you learn to speak their language. So number one is to speak their language and be searchable on these digital platforms, right? You want to speak the language. Number two is you speak the language by understanding the pain point. By understanding the pain points of them needing functionality over in experience is what's going to help you have this language in your listing, this language in your listing description, in your title, in your copy, on your website. Just tell them what you do. You know what we say? Temporary housing. We work directly with you or your insurance company. Displaced due to unforeseen events. Use the keywords that they're using. As a matter of fact, one of the best things you can do is as you get the inquiry, what words are they using? We're looking to relocate a home. Relocate might be your keyword. We're looking to help a displaced family. Displaced families might be your word, right? We're looking for temporary housing. Temporary housing might be your word. We're looking for a pet-friendly place. Call it a pet-friendly place. Do not make your life harder than it is. So speak to the pain points. Now, number three, saving the best for last and the most critical. Every single business has this, whether you know it or not. As a matter of fact, myself being in this space and understanding the power that is behind the evaluation of businesses. See, the thing is, businesses valuations are dependent on based on the amount of contacts that they have, based on the amount of people that they can touch, based on the amount of people that they can reach to, based on the level of engagement. So when you are building your business, it is so critical for you to know that you are now in the business of building a list. Now, what does that mean? A list, an email list, a contact list, a phone number list of relocation specialists. Well, Ruben, can I also think about my remediation companies, etc., and my plumber and the plumbing company, etc.? Sure. However, there's a caveat there. The reason why I would like my list and our list is made up of relocation specialists, it's because it's what they do for a living. They relocate families for a living. So it's in our best interest for us to build a list with people who do something for a living. Not a one-off, oh yeah, I'll keep you top of mind, or be like, yeah, sure, we do have these partners. It's about them doing the job, right? So the reason why I might not just go to remediation company, and it's not that I might not, it's that I'm going to focus my intention on X, right? I'm going to focus my attention on building my relocation specialist list. Why? Because what I pay attention to, where I pay attention to works, right? Work will be done based on that. I want to make sure that I'm focusing on that opportunity because these individuals wake up just like us and we have one task, one job, and it is to relocate families. So it's in my best interest to, work with someone who might send me a referral, or is it in my best interest to actually work with someone who literally is looking for partners for a living? The latter. It's important that we build a book of business. It is no different than your financial advisor who's able to sell that book of business. It is no different than a corporation who is able to have their evaluation goes up because they have a large list of people who are interested in their service, right? So relocation specialists. Think of quality though, not quantity, because it's just like having a list that you can buy online anywhere and you market to it. What if no one opens the email? Then it's no bueno, it's no good. It is in your best interest to actually build a list of quality, not quantity. And with that list of quality, if you can also turn into quantity, then you will be the one laughing last, because anytime you build a list you're able to then evaluate your business based on the response rate. That means if you get a new property and you send an email and you have X amount of relocation specialists, and every time you send that email, you know that you get 3 responses of, yes, I do have a family that's willing to relocate. Then how much is this list really worth? Dollar signs should be popping up all over right now. Dollar signs everywhere. Money is coming in. Why? Because it means that you can almost forecast and or even predict that when you have a new property, when you acquire a new property, when you arbitrage a new property, when you co-host a new property, you now have peace of mind knowing that with respect to data and with respect to the experience that you've had over time and being able to get a response, you can almost predict your occupancy and profitability. So the 3 things that you must do is understand the pain points of your avatar, understand the language that they are using, build digital footprints so that they can actually find you, include those pain points in your copy, and number 3, build that list. Because those 3 things right there alone will be the difference between someone who's being a midterm rental insurance operator amateur to someone who's a midterm rental insurance empire. Build your empire, not just operations, not a hobby, right? But build an empire that can increase the level of occupancy and profitability in your business for you to stay profitable. And most importantly, help as many displaced families as possible. Because keep in mind, if you help enough families get what they want, then I promise you, you will be able to get what you want. Ka-ching! If you found value in this video, then you'll certainly want to watch right here the next video on simple tips on how to secure your midterm rental insurance contract. Very critical. One thing to build a relationship is one thing to secure the bag. We'll see you next time.